Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. This is part 2 of 5 of my review and rankathon of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is, as I'll expand upon throughout this series, a shoo-in for my 2025 Game of the Year. If you are here because you've already played this game, or won't, and have an, academic interest in it, or some other morbid curiosity, you are in the right place. If you plan to play this game, or are currently playing it but have not yet finished it, this is still the right place, but probably the wrong time. This video will be super full of spoilers for the vast majority of the game, so if you're in that latter group, you'll want to check out the other videos and certainly the finale to this mini-series I'm doing. Moving on, as a quick summary of this project for those that didn't see the introduction video, I'm making several videos that will culminate in a grander review along with ranking the game on my big list of ranked games at the end. This video is for talking about most of the story and also ranking the playable characters narratively. The next one up is ranking them mechanically and having an overall ranking without having to divulge all of the spoiler stuff from the narrative ranking at the end of that one. After that, I'll be ranking the boss fights, which will have some spoiler stuff, just by nature of some bosses even existing, but I won't get into it too much, and the last video is going to be waxing poetic, or whatever you want to call me, talking about how the story connected with me and my crackpot theories with a relatively spoiler-free summary of all of this, and discussion of how the game's ranking shapes up at the end. The way I'll handle things in this video is to give a broad overview of the driving thrust behind the game, and also a quick surface-level explanation of the playable characters before getting into the ranking, where I'll dive into the deep end. So know that the big spoilers are a little further ahead, and even just seeing some of the party members may be a bit of a very small spoiler, but generally not much more than you'd find on the store page if you really looked. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 starts off following Gustav and his friend Sophie on what appears to be a very special day called the Gamage. There's also Mayel, but we'll get to her in a bit. You run around as Gustav and Sophie, clearly in love, though they haven't seen each other in a while. There's a quick dialogue bit about why they're separated, ultimately coming down to the decision of whether or not to have kids, and I'll have more to say about that a little later in this video and also in the finale, but you're simply enjoying your day together. It's Sophie's big day. Everyone's giving her lots of flowers, lots of gifts, words of encouragement, and love. After exploring and tutorializing throughout the city of Lumiere, which appears to be some distorted post-apocalyptic version of Paris, France, you come to the docks. I hope you really enjoyed your time with Sophie and got as much as you could with her, because it's here we learn that what the Gamage is, what happened to this city, and what's with that giant monolith that has the number 34 painted on it. Sophie will not be receiving a ranking in this video, or any other, because, well, this happens.
I'm here.
I know.
It took this game 30 minutes to make me cry like a little baby. So after the Gamage, Gustav and Mael head to be with their people, the Expeditioners. Every year, for the last 67 years after the day of the Gamage, an adventuring party embarks over the main continent where the Paintress, that giant lady that emerged from the monolith and killed a bunch of people by writing a number, resides to try to kill her and stop this madness. And every year, they have failed. What the number on the monolith means is anyone that age or older dies. So it's customary for people in the last year of their life, if they're feeling brave enough, to join this adventure. So everyone in this expedition is 31 or 32 years old this time around. Everyone, that is, except Mael. Mael is a 16-year-old girl who has been raised from a young age by Gustav and his sister, making him partially her brother, but also partially her adoptive father. She's joining Gustav on his expedition for many reasons, which we'll get into in a bit, but it's important to remind you that she's half the age of everyone else in this game. You meet a ton of your fellow expeditioners at this party, and there's a lot of exposition with them all. And then you sail across the waters, land at a beach, and almost none of those people will be receiving a ranking in this video, or any other, because, well, this happens.
Which expedition are you from?
Fall back! So the game's pretty rough, yeah? Fortunately, not everyone died. Amongst the survivors are Gustav, our lovable, dorky history buff, with a keen mind for engineering, voiced just absolutely perfectly by Charlie Cox, and Mael, voiced also impeccably by Jennifer English, the youngest of the group by a huge margin, who is eager to get out of the stifling gloom and doom of Lumiere and try to be an active force for change. There's also Lune, voiced by Kirsty Ryder, a bona fide genius with an ironclad will and determination when it comes to the mission, and the expert on various magical elements to the world. We have CL, voiced by Shala Nix, one of the most ferocious combatants in the expedition, while also having the unique ability to look death in the face and smile about it. Along the way, you'll eventually pick up Esquier, voiced brilliantly by Maxence Cazorla in both English and French, and even motion-capped many of the characters, who is... well, you can look at him. And we'll talk about the rest when we get there. There's Verso, voiced by Ben Starr, an incredibly complex man, shrouded in mystery as he helps your party along.
Why, what do you write about? You don't seem like a sunshine and rainbows type.
Mostly poetic insults to use on Minoko.
And Minoko, voiced by Rich Keeble, and the only thing I can say about Minoko before we dive into the full spoilers is that he's friends with Verso and loves to fight, so let the full spoilers commence.
Defeat the Stalact with your fearsome talents.
Right. Oh. Is this serious?
Yes, he is.
You're still here?
Good. Good. Good.
Good.
Yes, good.
You leave me no choice then.
Coming in 7th place, and I don't want to call it last, because every single party member in this game is wonderful, is our comic relief character, Minoko. He's a gestural, which are these cute little wooden doll people who have basically paintbrushes for heads. They're adorable and so funny, and they love to fight and to trade. And oh my god, I need a little Noko figure for my desk or something. Who is Noko, you ask? When you find Mael after the catastrophe that was the start of the expedition, she introduces you to a tiny little gestural merchant named Noko, and he's adorable, and I love him. But as you learn, the Gestrals are actually sort of immortal. They can be resurrected at the Sacred River, which leans a little into their penchant for fighting, of course. Well, Noko, it turns out, was once Minoko's father figure and rescued him, but somewhere along the years, Noko was killed, and Minoko broke all of the Gestral laws and traditions and forced him to be resurrected before it was his turn, causing Minoko to be banished from Gestral civilization entirely. Underneath Minoko's brutish persona and his ridiculous appearance and hilarious one-liners,
Now come over here and let's snuggle.
lies an emotionally sensitive, gentle giant who is fiercely loyal and perhaps a little overeager to help his human companions and wears his heart on his sleeve. This scene, where he really overdoes it a little, was my first window into Minoko's soul, where I began to see him for who he truly is.
Minoko! Why the hell did you...
Sorry, I fucked up. I just wanted to show off.
We just have to regroup. The others should be fine. Verso said the heart is in the center of Old Lumiere, right?
Minoko knows Verso's secrets, but keeps them until Verso is ready to share them. Minoko shows up big whenever he's asked to. Minoko fights with everything he has to protect those he cares about, and most importantly, Minoko is a good boy. Minoko and all other Gestrals, and I'll explain this later, is a dog. Oh my god, they're all dogs. They love fighting because that's how dogs play. He's fuzzy and goofy and emotional. You find him at the train station because, well, actually, that's in another video. But I promise, it's related to the dog thing. And as you'll see in the mechanics video, he fights by collecting bones. I don't even mean this metaphorically or anything, but that's not the analysis for this video. He's a dog. If you know me, you know that ranking the personification of a dog in 7th place means this cast is insanely good. Which brings us to 6th place, CL. For the vast majority of the game, CL was pretty firmly in last place for me. I did not think she brought much to the table, really, until she suddenly became better than dogs. When you find CL, she's dealing with the catastrophic failure of their expedition the best she can, believing she is the only survivor, spending her last remaining year fighting Gestrals for fun. Every time things get tough and people start getting at each other's throats over tense decisions or mistakes, CL is there to calm them down and keep the team's spirits up, and that's great, but it's also kind of boring. I thought she was going to spend this whole game being all cheery and upbeat in the face of the extinction of the human race, because it's a game character and, well, why not? Oh my god, she's so depressed. Have you ever heard that the people you think are the strongest might be the ones struggling the most? It's called masking, and when you beat a huge important boss who throws literal masks on people to hurt them, CL realizes she's unaffected because she's already wearing her mask. The mask is comfortable, it's molded to her face, it's who she is, and she's in complete control over it. Death is not a foreign concept to the people of Lumiere. Thanks to the Gamage, it's something they've really become accustomed to and are able to shoulder that burden rather well. What they are not used to, however, is people dying in other ways. Some time ago, Ciel's husband, Pierre, died in an accident at sea. This was years before his gamage would have happened, and it destroyed Ciel. We eventually learned that after his death, she attempted suicide by swimming out as far into the ocean as she could. Eventually, her body couldn't keep up anymore, and she passed out in the water. She should have died, and she has no idea how, but she awoke on the docks of Lumiere the next day, where she was taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, Pierre was not her only loss in the tragedy of her life, because unbeknownst to Ciel, she was carrying her and Pierre's child. Due to the stress and damage from nearly drowning to death, the baby could not be saved, and had to be removed, causing the giant scar on her stomach that she had previously been elusive over whenever people asked. This is all, of course, horrible. Having children in Lumiere is a big decision, and the general consensus based on conversations at the beginning of the game and beyond seems to be that it's your civic duty to have kids. After all, anyone born at the time the game takes place would potentially be the last generation. You need as many people working together as you can at this point to stop the paintress, so for her to not have the opportunity to continue that, on top of losing the love of her life, was devastating for Ciel. But in time, she was able to adjust. She began teaching at the school her husband used to work at to continue helping the children he could not, but also to be around people that knew and loved him as some small comfort. She joined the expedition to claim vengeance for everything she lost, but to say that she moved on would be wrong. As we learn, there is nothing she wants more in the world than to reclaim the lifetime she never got the chance to have, living happily with her husband and child in a paintress-free world. Ciel's positive attitude is a mask for her constant, ceaseless, overwhelming pain. And while it takes a long time for her to open up, I'm so glad she eventually does, because it makes her such a human character with so much more beneath the surface than it originally seemed. And I love her for it, and want to give her a great, big hug. But that's what SKA is there for. Coming in at number 5 is Lune. Based on how things were going at the start of the game, I was really expecting Gustave to become the sort of captain of our ragtag group of survivors, but nope. He decided to throw a pity party. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. That was an awful joke, but we'll expand on that when we get to him. And it was Lune that picked up the pieces, and throughout the vast majority of the game, kept us on course. She took charge, she fought, she made hard choices, and did everything she was trained to do. Sure, she was a bit crass at times, and maybe a little lacking in empathy, but she had that Kobe Mamba mentality. She did not get distracted. After all, with her upbringing, it would be pretty hard to. Her parents were expeditioners before her, and they were revolutionary researchers on Pictos, Chroma, and Lumina, which are basically the life force of the world made manifest into energy. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy VII, it's basically like Mako and Materia. In her relationship quest, you find what happened to her parents on Expedition 46, and in it, they are not worried that they failed, actually really at all, because their greatest creation, Lune, will succeed where they could not. That's all very reassuring and nice that they were so confident in their daughter, but as Lune explains, it was not out of a place of love. She really was a creation to them, an extension of their legacy, their greatest tool to be used against the Paintress, and she lived up to that role. There's a boss you fight called Serene, who is a gigantic Nevron that dances and sings music to charm her victims into a blissful death. Through this charm, they envision whatever they want most in life as if it were coming true. It's quite dangerous. Lune sees a life with her parents where she gets to be just their daughter, and not the Paintress murdering machine they created. She almost succumbs to it, but in the end, remembers that's not why they're there, and the only thing that matters is the mission. She destroys Cyrene through sheer, overwhelming force of will, and it's fucking badass. But over the course of the game, Lune does learn to let loose a little, actually live some, make some music, and enjoy the moment, which is something she never really got to do before. But more importantly, the reason she ranks higher than CL and Monoko to me is that while the game would be worse, you could remove them from the equation and the plot would basically still work. Without Lune, this expedition fails immediately and repeatedly, but I want to save that for Gustav. For now, just know that she's the real leader of the group for most of the game, and is a damn good one.
If you promise to get me
And now for a brief intermission. Esquier is, depending on how you define it, only maybe a member of the party. He doesn't fight in combat, but is apparently the most powerful being in the world. He's just lazy and too nice for combat. I love Esquier. I'll talk about this more in the mechanics video, but he's basically your mount, your boat, your airship, whatever you need. You collect these little stones and he gains powers that he probably already had, didn't really gain them, and can do things for you. But more importantly, he gives hugs. He gives lots and lots and lots of hugs. I love an Esquier hug. And he's funny. Esquier gives the wee to balance this game's overwhelming woo.
Oh, are you now?
I too am. But I'm also wee. So the wee balances the.
Sounds like you're in a woo-wee type situation.
You really get me, Verso.
All of his lines that you're on the map with him, like, I am speed and accelerate, are just so charming. It's hard to not fall in love with Esquier, and he's filled with wine and shaped like a soft, squishy, stuffed toy. Because he is. I know I marked this video as full spoilers, but I'm still trying to maintain some semblance of a narrative order with how I'm divulging stuff, so we'll expand on the how later. But Esquier is a stuffed toy, and that's why he behaves the way he does, so filled with wonder and whimsy and the absolute power to comfort any hurt soul and make any monster go away. Have you ever just held a pillow or a plush or something and felt, for no real reason, better? That's Esquier, and it's what he lives for. Remember when CL swam and passed out, but was miraculously saved? Esquier could hear her heart's cries of pain and longing for family and comfort and safety, so he rushed out, found her, and saved her, because that's what Esquier does. He, as Verso puts it, always helps people when they become consumed by their dark thoughts. It's in his very nature, woven into his being. Everyone needs an Esquier in their life, but it's important to remember that unlike this superpowered hug machine, nobody can be Esquier all of the time, and they need support too.
Thank you.
I'm a huge believer in the power of hugs, so there's a reminder to give a nice, sincere hug the next time you see your friends. There's a chance they may need it, but regardless of if they do, I'm willing to bet it won't go unappreciated.
Verso likes crying too.
Yes, I know.
You were looking for someone then. Did you find them?
No. But hopefully soon.
Yeah. I get sad too when I lose my stones. But I always find them again. You will find them again too.
You're the best. One of me.
Now that we've got our wee out of the way, it's back to our regularly scheduled woo. When it comes to Gustav, I want to make it clear that there is a noticeable jump from number 4 to number 3. I love every character in this game, but narratively speaking, these top 3 are the game, and the rest are there to flesh it out. After all, these remaining characters are what the 3 acts of the game are named after. So here we are, Act 1, Gustav. He's just so damn likable. I love this little history buff. One of the main slogans of the expeditions, and something you hear said over and over and over throughout the course of the game, is for those who come after. Every expedition is not only trying to defeat the Paintress, but they are also laying the groundwork for future expeditions to have a better chance than them. They do research, they do recon, they make pathways, embed climbing handholds into stone faces, attach grapple points to cross great chasms. Everywhere you go in this game, you find signs of those who came before, the ones who laid the groundwork for you to succeed. And Gustav admires them with such passion. He knows what almost every expedition specialized in, what their secondary goals were, and how they plan to achieve them. It's encyclopedic, and not only is this a great excuse for someone to just info dump to us, the player, about the strange world we find ourselves in as players, it also adds excitement to every little discovery and give a better sense of the scale for Lumiere's machinations in this fight. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we can see that much of this side of Gustav, we had to get over one tiny little, it's barely worth mentioning, insurmountably massive problem. The whole expedition died, right? After Gustav washes up somewhere, unsure of how he really got there, he's all alone. He doesn't know there were other survivors yet, but undeterred, he presses on, looking for signs of his fellow expeditioners. There's perils, and you start to take in the magnificent beauty of the continent. It's so pretty, this game is so pretty, until you come upon a cave filled with bodies of his fellow expeditioners. Thinking they've all died, and that the mission is a lost cause, he sits with his friends, he conjures his gun, and thinks.
You do that, we both die.
Thank God for Lune. This game made me cry twice in the opening hour. It is not uncommon in games for main protagonists to have pretty one-track minds.
Wake up,
Hey,
Gustav.
they're on a mission, quest thing, we have to go stop the big bad, let's go do it. Sure, there's detours along the way, but it's always in service of let's go stop the big bad. Gustav and Lune's first order of business is to see if anyone else is alive, but when they find out that Mael might be, and it also could be a trap, Gustav throws all of that mission stuff out the window. He no longer cares. He simply just wants to do everything in his power to make sure that this girl is safe. And while I love Lune for bringing him back to some semblance of reason and keeping the fragments of the expedition at least a little on track, I love Gustav even more for being so human and wanting to hop right off of it. There's a lot of overlap there in scenes between Gustav and Lune because that's a lot of the very early game, establishing these characters, kind of just them for a while. I love this particular interaction between the two, though.
My gun and your spots?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if. When. We knew not all of us would make it. But we continue. As long as even one of us stands, our fight is not over.
But I'm not afraid to fight, it's just Mael, she's...
Mael swore the same oath.
I know that!
She chose her life. You and I... Come on, we always said the future of Lumiere is more important than
any individual life, yes.
Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that? Do you?
hope I do.
But really, Gustave's story is about his relationship with Maëlle. In this war-torn, adoption-filled life that the people of Lumiere lead, is she more his sister or his daughter? Regardless, when he finds her, the relief for them both is palpable.
Gustav? Are you real?
Okay, this game made me cry 3 times in 2 hours. At least the rate is slowing down. Anyways, now that Maëlle's safe, Gustave spends much of the rest of his time in this game inspiring people to be good, and the best that Lumiere can present. He really has a drive to not only do good, but also to be good. There's a scene where you meet this giant gestural, and Gustave was told the password to get past the area he's guarding was to yell at him as loud as he could.
Really? Hey.
Come on. Don't be shy.
Get out of my way!
Jeez.
No, it's just it's the password.
Unfortunately for Gustave, this was all a prank, and there was no password, and the thing I love about this scene is that he felt really terrible about it, like, truly awful. There are so many more scenes like this, just little things that elevate Gustave to being the most human, most likable character on this cast to me, and Charlie Cox's voicing is truly stupendous work. So why isn't he ranked number 1? Well, that's simple. I know I already gave the spoiler warning, but I really do mean it this time. If you have any intention of playing this game ever in your life and think you might want the twists and turns hidden from you, stop watching now.
Okay.
Well, you see, he's dead for most of the game.
Ooh, what about that one?
Does it really matter?
Well, like I always say, it's not about the rock. It's more about...
Gustav.
Run.
This game made me cry 4 times, and I don't know at that point, maybe like 4 or 5 hours. But this time, it's not just crying. I'm angry. My heart rate is elevated, my breathing, beyond just the crying, is heavy, and my mind is racing. When I finished Act 1, I felt like I'd go sign up for the expedition and kill the paintress myself. Gustave's legacy throughout the last 2 acts of Expedition 33 are in how he drives and motivates the other characters. Lune's the leader of the group in the sense that she gets shit done, but Gustave, even in death, is the soul and is my reason for certain decisions that get made at the end of the game. But ultimately, he just didn't have enough screen time to crack the top 2. If you've beaten this game, you understand why the last 2 remaining characters, being who they are, is significant. They're the real protagonists and are ultimately what everything that's been happening in this world is about, whether they both know that or not. I want to make it clear that it was very difficult to rank these 2, and their stories thread so closely together, I'm going to kind of talk about them both at the same time. After Gustave's death, Verso makes his first appearance, saving Maëlle from the mysterious old man that slaughtered everyone at the beach, and we learn is named Renoir. He clearly knows Renoir and explains that they were part of Expedition Zero together 67 years ago, and somehow they'd become immortal, which is how they grew old. Regardless of whatever other motivations he has, Verso joins the crew to help in the quest to kill the Paintress, but we'll get to all of that in a bit, because actually coming in second place is Mael. But first, I need to back up a little bit. Don't worry, I know the video's starting to get a little longer, but we're going to go faster now, at least as far as story progression goes. Prior to Gustave's death, Mael had what appeared to be a vision of sorts. Renoir appeared inside their camp, along with a girl who wears a broken porcelain mask with a face covered in burns and missing an eye. Not so subtly at all outside of those things, and her white hair styled in a little different look, she seems to look exactly like Mael. But Renoir gives an ominous warning that she shouldn't be there and she should go home because he wouldn't be able to give her the courtesy of a warning a second time. I'm not going to sit here and regurgitate every single moment of the plot to you. That's what playing the game is for, but I am going to go over some broad strokes in explaining why these are the two best characters in Expedition 33. For the record, I'd argue that Gustave is my favorite character. I liked him the most. Mael and Verso are both terribly, deeply flawed, and that makes them great. But before we can go on, we get one more moment with Gustave. His funeral, when you find a resting place for him that Verso suggests, is beautiful. It's really more of a Mael moment than a Gustave moment, but at the same time, everything going forward is also a Gustave moment due to how he motivates the whole crew, so,
The Paintress, Renoir, they will pay.
No more dome. Just open skies.
I'll save them, Gustave. Emma, your apprentices, everyone.
You can leave it to us. You were always there for me.
I'll save them.
Say hi to Soph for me, yeah?
We could never tell if you were my brother or my father. But to me, you were both. Best brother and father I've ever had.
When one falls, we continue.
Thanks for being my family.
The cry count is up to 5. Also, I want to highlight all of the other little memorials there, especially those shown as Expedition Zero. Verso has had a lot of people to bury, and I mean a lot of friends over the years. This is not lost on the others. As Verso and Mael start to discuss this, they begin to open up to each other a little bit. We learn that Mael was a surprise to her birth parents, born merely 2 years before their gamage. She bounced around the foster system, caused a bunch of problems, and struggled a lot to find a home until Gustave and his sister, Emma, took her in. For her, running around the streets of Lumiere, it always felt like an expansive cage, just a reminder of their futile doom in the face of the Paintress. So rather than face her later without Gustave, the only family she'd ever gotten the opportunity to love, she decided to escape this Alcatraz and see the world on an epic journey with him. Family is, in her words, complicated, and Verso can certainly agree with that. Thanks to this bonding moment, despite everyone's uncertainty regarding Verso, whether or not we can really trust him and whether his secrets are going to get everyone killed or whatever, Mael kept Gustave's armband, so she offers hers to Verso, making him an official member of Expedition 33, and he wears it proudly, which is really fascinating when you get to confront Renoir again and discover that he's Verso's father, and that man has caused a lot of problems. There's a ton of back and forth between Verso and Mael throughout the second act of the game. Verso and the others too, as that's the perspective you take for the camp sessions all of the way to the credits and beyond, but most importantly, we're talking about these two characters. Verso mourns the injuries caused to Alicia, his sister, by a great big fire, how he used to enjoy his life in Lumiere before everything went wrong, his family full of artists, himself a musician. He'd always wanted to play a great concert and was studying piano at the conservatory when the world was upended. There's this beautiful scene where he plays for Mael, just like he'd play for Alicia. It's quite touching, with Esquier dancing in the background, and Mael weirdly, seemingly to know the music he's playing, even though it's the first time she'd ever heard it. There's actually a whole lot of things like that. The Gestrels, especially Noko, have taken an immediate liking to her. Esquier welcomes her with open arms and warm hugs, though that's not that special, he does that for everybody. And of course, there's Renoir's communication with her. Plus, I haven't even mentioned the Curator. He's a really creepy, faceless, floating guy that saved Mael in the aftermath of the beach landing and sheltered her in the mansion you found her in, and he's able to assist your party in a variety of ways. So what's his interest in her? If all of this seems peculiar, well, it should. Fast forwarding a bit, the Curator crafts a magical sword that Mael can use to break the barrier so they can approach the Paintress and finally kill her. And then we can't hurt her. Everything you do does nothing. My God, it was terrifying. And then this happens.
I don't think this is...
No.
Everybody okay?
Follow her, quickly.
What?
You go inside the monolith to confront the true Paintress, not the giant construct crying on the shore outside, but first you need to see the life of a family of artists. You get these snippets of unknown people as you blitz through every major zone you've already been through in the game, bleeding into one another in a mad boss rush. It's really cool, but in the end, you have to fight Renoir one more time before you can get to the Paintress. I love this scene between Renoir and Verso. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, is a story about grief. The grief of the people of Lumiere slowly going extinct to the Gamage. The grief of a widower losing not only her husband, but also her unborn child. The grief of a prodigy losing her childhood and even much of their adult life in the pursuit of perfection. The grief of your closest companion holding on to futile hope, longing for when they may one day return home. And the grief of a family. A family who, in their grief, lash out at each other and hurt one another in ways they could have never previously imagined. A lifetime of pain and suffering, a hellish, self-perpetuating cycle, all because of one girl's mistake and one man's selfless act. Because the reality is, Alicia wasn't the only one hurt in that fire. Verso, the real Verso, died in that fire. When you defeat the Paintress and liberate the people of the world from her oppression, something is certainly off. Alicia had given Verso a letter in secret This is where things get pretty complicated, so rather than explain it, I'll just let it be read to you.
Brother, I tire of the conflicts and deceptions that plague our family and theirs. So, I entrust you with this letter. Whether you give it to her is up to you. I'm at peace with what's to come. When the time comes, I hope you will be too. Maya, it's a strange feeling watching you with my brother, laughing and smiling, without the scars or the memories that afflict me. Alicia, as she was meant to be, not this painted version that I am. My family, a facsimile of yours, and this world, a mirror, painted by your mother, the paintress, to stave off her grief. Seeing your expedition through would plunge us all into the abyss. For in ridding the world of the paintress, you'd lose the sole force standing against the one who would erase us, the one who invokes the flowers of the Gamash. An act of love, for he does love her. Your father. On her monolith, she paints a warning for us all, of the few she can save as her power wanes. We all wish for our families to thrive. Your family, however, believes only one can survive. But perhaps you'll find another way. You who have lived amongst us, perhaps you differ from your father and your sister, as I differ from mine. Your mother paints life, whilst your father, death. What will you paint?
So I've cried 6 times now from this game. The world isn't real. It's all a painting done by the actual Verso growing up. The Desonder family has some kind of magical power to paint worlds into existence and then live inside them or something. But these paintings leave a fragment of the artist's soul inside. So when Verso died, Eileen, the paintress, Verso's mother, escapes into the painting so she can spend more time with her son. Obviously, this is not a healthy form of grieving, so Renoir enters the painting to get her out, and he manifests as the curator. The Renoir, Verso, and Alicia we've been encountering throughout the game are painted creations of Eileen, and Painted Verso knew all of this all along, and kept it hidden from everyone, and even knew what would happen when they defeated the Paintress. Going forward, Renoir intends to entirely erase and destroy the canvas, which would destroy the world and everyone within it. Alicia, who entered the painting by trying to get them both out of it, is Mayel, and has fallen in love with the life she's created there. After all, she's still horribly burned, can barely talk, and is missing an eye in real life. But in the painting, she can do anything.
You will always be the beautiful child I held in my arms. You will smile the brightest smile. You will cry iridescent tears. You will know love, and you will know pain. You will know loss all too well, because we live in an unforgiving world. But you are strong, and you will survive. You will struggle, and you will learn. You'll find people to call your own, and you will shine as their guiding light. For you will change the world, and the people around you. You'll forever be our princess. I have decided on her name. And her name will be Maëlle.
All of these memories come back to her at this point, and she's able to bring back the party due to her unlocked paintress abilities. So ultimately, a plan is created to stop Renoir from being able to erase the canvas. They are able to collect chroma from the expedition bodies scattered throughout the continent, so she is able to mass a fighting force. Her ultimate goal, after kicking Renoir out, is to bring back the glory of Lumiere and live the life with Gustave and Sophie and Emma, and bring back Pierre for Ciel and the child they never had, and let everyone live on happily. Because these painted characters aren't just fabricated pieces of fiction, they're fully realized, living things with their own independent thoughts, emotions, and reasons for going on living. Even Renoir seems genuinely remorseful about having to erase it all, but as he points out, these paintings do drain the life of the painters within them. Stay in one too long, and well, you're probably going to die in it. And as Renoir himself puts it,
life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Ultimately, Maëlle manages to keep up the fight against Renoir to the point that he's not necessarily, defeated, we don't kill him, but he doesn't want to keep fighting his own daughter. She begs him to keep the canvas intact and that it would allow her to live a happy life, one filled with friendship and love, as opposed to the shell she carries on in the real world. He relents and steps out. But the war's not over. The game's not quite finished. There is a space between the real world and the painting, which opens up. It's where we find the sliver of the real Verso soul still painting away, keeping the world going. Painted Verso enters this space, even though he shouldn't be there, so Maëlle chases him in. It's here that you have to make a decision, because it's here that Painted Verso is sick and tired of the life he has, and all he wants, all he's wanted this whole game is to die, to rest. He's buried too many friends, he's hurt too many people, and he's done with it. The real Verso was never much of a painter. He only made the one painting, and he didn't really like it because it didn't fit in with his perfectionist family. But him and his siblings would spend time in there together. It was fun. Verso and Alicia and Clair. Minoko and Noko were based on the family dogs, so when I said earlier that Gestrels are dogs, I meant that quite literally. And Esquier, well, he's Verso's stuffed toy that he actually had. So all of that stuff about comfort, that's literal too. But this sliver of Verso's soul is tired, and it's ready to stop and finally be put to rest. But you get to pick. Do you side with Maëlle to keep all of these people you've fallen in love with as characters alive and bring them happiness? To bring back Gustave and let Alicia live a life? But at what cost? The continued pain and fragmentation of the rest of the Desandre family? the essentially forced labor and slavery of Verso's soul, I came back to something that Lune asked Gustave very early in the game when making this decision. Do you still believe that the future of Lumiere is more important than any one life? And like Gustave, I hoped I did. So I picked Maëlle. The ensuing tragic fight has her defeat Verso and keep the painting going. We cut forward in time a little and everyone's back alive. Maëlle gets to live the life she wanted. Lumiere is vibrant and bustling. Gustave is there. Ciel is happy with Pierre and even their child. And even Verso is back, excited to, well, maybe not excited, we're at a Dutch angle here, to finally play the concert he always wanted. But in the end, we see the painting begin to overtake her. And as the colors pour from her eyes, signaling that she's dying in the real world, a victim, Verso begins to play her out. Now the question is, of course, if I picked Maëlle's ending, why is Verso the top-ranked character? It's complicated. As a reminder, Gustave is my favorite character, but Verso is, I think, the most nuanced and interesting. He struggles a lot with his secrets. He genuinely cares for all of these people and the world he's in and the friends he's made. His relationship with Monoko is incredible, and with Esquier, he compares himself to the original Verso in conversation, and it's something that obviously bothers him. But when Esquier explains that they're different people, and he loves painted Verso for all of his own merits, he's truly touched. He teaches Ciel to conquer her fear of the water. He helps Lune get back in touch with making music. But the biggest thing that Verso did, the biggest secret he kept, is the one that hurt me the most.
I need to ask you something.
What?
You wouldn't lie to me, right?
I think we're well past that.
On the cliff. Gustave?
What is it?
Did you let Renoir kill Gustave? Could you have saved him?
That two-word dialogue prompt, yes, truth, is the seventh, last, and hardest time Clair Obscur Expedition 33 made me cry. The instant I read the words, I gasped, I screamed, and then I cried. A whole lot. I was completely blindsided by this revelation, and while it was a huge surprise, it remained totally in character and felt real and human. Ultimately, he did have his reasons for letting Gustave die. Yeah. Verso is one of the most intricate, complex characters in any game I've ever played. He's done awful things, is responsible for the deaths of many characters, and in the end gets basically everyone killed, kind of. I didn't record the Verso ending, but I did look it up and watch it. Everyone gets erased. There's a great embrace between Verso and Monoko and Esquier. I love that. And as things are starting to disappear, Lune sits down on the ground, utterly furious with him, waiting to die. It's a great touch, and from her perspective, Verso may really be the villain of this game. And you know what? Maybe he is. But so could Maëlle, and Renoir, and Aline, and even Clea made the Nevrons. Grief is a powerful emotion, and it can make even the best of intentions cause the worst of pain. The name of this game is pretty much clear, opaque, as in black and white, night and day, good and evil. But that's not how this works. That's not how the world works. everything is a little bit of gray. You take the good with the bad, and maybe, just maybe, life forces cruel choices sometimes, and we all have to live with them. So just do the best you can, but don't forget to find some wee to balance out your woo. And speaking of wee, the combat in this game slaps. So make sure to check out my next video for Expedition 33 as I rank all of the characters mechanically and then give an overall ranking of them all without getting into all of the spoiler stuff we just spent the last 40 whatever minutes on for people that want to avoid it. I want to really thank everyone that stuck around to the end of this video. Speaking of cruel choices, as you may have seen my announcement the other day, after these Expedition 33 videos and one last community ranking update, I have made the difficult choice to sunset Exothermic Plays Games. The channel will stay up along with all of the content, and I'll be around in some fashion. If you want to join my Discord server, I plan to keep that up too, but I won't be making new videos. I won't promise it's forever, but I also won't promise I'll start again. I appreciate each and every view I've gotten along this crazy journey I've taken, this expedition, if you will, but it's time for me to call it a day. We're not there quite yet, though, so I'll see you again real soon with some more Clair Obscur Expedition 33.